Have you ever wondered what it is like to be a freshman rangerette? Freshmen have an extensive set of rules to follow, just like an etiquette. Freshmen are expected to perfect these rules each and every day in order to blend in with the sophomores at all of their appearances and performances. In order to ensure that I have accurately interpreted all aspects of the rangerette etiquette, I have interviewed Emily Deal, the captain of the 74th line of the Rangerettes, and I credit all of my information to her. I am currently a freshman rangerette on the 75th line, so I am experiencing and abiding by these rules each and every day. Although it is not the easiest thing to do, every time that I put my uniform on, I am reminded of why I am here. Today, I will be discussing 3 important aspects of rangerette etiquette, including traditional rules, the freshman dress code during practice, as well as the freshman rules for practice. A huge part of the rangerette organization and its etiquette is tradition and discipline. All of our rules are traditional and have been followed by the forevers that have came before us, in other words, our alumni. These rules were set 75 years ago and have impacted and benefited each girl ever since. One of the guidelines of rangerette etiquette is that rangerettes are not permitted to walk on the grass. This rule was implemented in 1940 when Gussie Nell Davis was the director. Around campus, they were struggling to get the grass to grow, and students kept walking through it in between classes, making it an even bigger problem. So, Gussie decided that the rangerettes would not walk on the grass as a sign of respect to those who laid it down, and the rule has stuck ever since. Another guideline that the rangerettes follow is that whenever we leave the dorm, we do not leave with wet hair. The reasoning behind this is that we are ambassadors for not only our organization but for Kilgore College as well, so we always need to look presentable out in public. Also, we are role models for young girls and dancers, and we always need to look put together and poised, and wet hair is neither of those things. Rangerettes always smile. Whenever you're in uniform, at a performance, or an appearance, rangerettes are always smiling. Now that we have discussed the traditional rules, let's discuss how a freshman rangerette gets ready for practice. As a freshman, you get everything taken away from you. The reasoning behind this is so that you realize your simple things in life and you get to appreciate them and not take them for granted. It makes you see everything as a privilege rather than a guarantee. For example, I always took for granted the privilege of painting my nails, and I now can't do that, so whenever I get that privilege again, I will appreciate it more than I ever did. In order to get these simple privileges back, you must earn them as a class by representing the perfect rangerette etiquette as well as true responsibility and team mentality. During practice, the main thing that is taken away from the freshmen is the ability to wear whatever you want and be an individual. The freshmen are placed in the same exact outfit and the same exact hairstyle. The only difference between us is our tennis shoes. The freshman attire consists of a black sports bra, a black scoop neck leotard, black biker shorts, black Sophie shorts over them with the white band rolled down, plain white socks, and tennis shoes, which is the only color that you may have on you. In addition, the freshmen also must wear red lipstick every single day and wear their hair in a slicked back low bun with no part and no wispies. The freshmen are also required to wear a pin sign, which looks like this. It has your first and last name on it in your hometown. The pin sign is basically just pinned across your chest, and at times it makes dancing very difficult. The reasoning behind all of this is that no one looks different from anyone else, and you look just the same as your class. You also aren't allowed to have any other logos, colors, or designs visible so that you do not look different from anyone else. It puts everyone on the same level no matter where you come from. Now that we have discussed the dress code, let's talk about some of the different freshman rules that we have to follow during practice. During a rangerette practice, the freshmen have many rules that they must abide by in order for the practice to run smoothly. Every girl that has ever come through this organization has had to follow these and has made their experience on the team a humbling one. These guidelines have been there from the beginning and they have worked ever since, so there's not much chance of them changing. One of the most important rules is that the freshmen are not allowed to talk during practice. The only time you are allowed to speak is if someone is addressing you and you must respond, but you have to do it in a certain way. The only way you can respond is if a sophomore talks to you, and then you must say, "Yes, ma'am, thank you, miss," whatever their last name is, or "No, ma'am, thank you, miss," whatever their last name is. The same goes for if the directors are talking to you, you would just wouldn't say miss, you would say Mrs. Wayne or Mrs. Blair. The only exception to this rule is if there's a medical emergency. In that case, you would say, "Yes, ma'am, thank you, miss," their last name, and "emergency." At that point, a sophomore should come up to you and give you permission to talk, and at that point you can tell her the situation. For no reason should freshmen ever communicate during practice between your class or a sophomore or freshman or anyone. Communicating doesn't just include talking, it also includes facial expressions, hand gestures, eye contact, anything of that sort. Although this rule is difficult to follow, it teaches you to pay attention to your surroundings and listen in order to learn, rather than asking someone a question and having the information handed to you. You learn how to figure things out on your own without any help and become more independent. It is nice that the freshmen cannot talk because 36 people talking is already enough. And if all 72 of us were talking the whole time, we would not get anything done. Another rule is that when either the directors or a sophomore is talking to you, you must raise your right hand straight up in the air the entire time. This is not only a sign of respect for your authority, but it shows them that they have your full attention and you have their full attention and that you are actively listening. You must keep your hand up for the entire time that they are talking to you. The final freshman rule that I'm going to discuss is adjusting during practice. The freshmen, when you aren't dancing, must stand in rangerette, completely still, smiling, and you may not move until a sophomore tells you to do so. Adjusting includes scratching an itch, fixing your hair, adjusting your smile, anything of that sort. Basically, you can't move without being told to do so unless you're dancing. The reason behind this rule is to train the freshmen to stand completely still in rangerette for their performances. It's a very hard thing to do to stand in rangerette for 30 minutes completely still and smiling the entire time, but since we do this during practice, it makes it much easier and the freshmen can handle any public situation. Today, I have discussed the perfect rangerette etiquette, including the traditional rules, the practice guidelines, as well as the practice dress code for the freshmen. So, whenever you see the rangerettes standing in tight line, perfectly still and smiling, remember all of the hard work and dedication that they put into their perfect image for their audiences.